Listen up. It's B-Eazy Dat Dude, the great. He ain't fake, he one of the real guys. Spitting fire every stream. You been late to the party, now it's time to realize. From Pittsburgh to around the world, yeah, the flow is elite. Every beat that he slide on turns into straight heat. Came up from the grind, selling box on a laptop, running up a bag, feel like he hit the jackpot. Got the luxury visions, ambition vivid, never bluff. Person's progress, persevere when the going gets tough. B-Eazy Dat Dude, got stripes in the game. Every rhyme, every line, they gon' remember the name. From the streets to the stage, the energy don't fade. Legend in the making, yeah, history's what he's laid. Mic in his hand, heart in the flow and soul on every beat. Dropping knowledge, power, bravado, his legacy complete. Hustle amplified, lyrics electrified, that's the truth. B-Eazy Dat Dude, established with certified proof. Feel the bass, feel the vibe, let it ride through the crowd. All the words, every hook, man, he keeps making us proud. King of his lane, rising above every feud. All hail the one and only, B-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah.
He always do it big, you know who it is. B-Eazy, B-Eazy, B-Eazy that dude. He on his way to the top and he ain't about to stop. You thought he would flop and didn't wanna give him props. The things you dreaming about he already did, dude. Now it's time to soak a game he about to give you. Like, share, follow, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to tune in when he goes live. Make a contribution if you feeling the content. Tap into the realness if you tired of the nonsense. I mean, no disrespect, ain't trying to sound rude, but the world already knows that B-Eazy's that dude. Ooh.
Radios up, turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. I won't be here for a long time, but it will be a doozy. Now, I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民と言っても実際に世代です。もう友達できたの？うん。グッドファンのこっち見ろ。No, you've been a regular. None of your competitors. Niggas better catch up like 10 steps ahead.
Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow-mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no-ho. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking the spree. Forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude. In the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry. That ism is really in me. My pimp game international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad.
And we are activated, and we gonna get right into this thing because I won't be here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. In case you've been living under a rock, of course, you know, things are starting to escalate between the Iran and Israel versus USA conflict. And there's all sorts of proxy wars going on, a lot of jockeying for position and power. So I'm going to break down some of this stuff and get into the ongoings of the conflict. The video that I will be reacting to first is from Democracy Now! You can watch the full uninterrupted video at this channel. And this one is titled Top US and World Headlines. Let's get into it. And salute to everyone that will be viewing this live concurrently and on the replay. Y'all can be anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The United States and Israel are continuing to drop bombs and missiles across Iran, with hundreds of attacks reported in the last 24 hours alone. In Tehran, there were reports of massive explosions earlier today after Israeli attacks on fuel depots caused fires to burn for hours, spawning a thick cloud of toxic smoke over the city of 10 million people. As it rained oil rain, many residents complained they had trouble breathing as black.
And before I proceed, I will be remiss without giving a shout out to Big O. Big O, what it do, coming in strong with the super sticker. If you want to make a contribution, you can leave a super chat, super sticker, or hit your boy on the Cash App. Or if you're unable or unwilling to contribute, it won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. So Big O, salute to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Raindrops full of toxic chemicals fell across Tehran. Officials warn the precipitation contains toxic hydrocarbon compounds as well as sulfur and nitrogen oxides. The Iranian Red Crescent Society reports 10,000 civilian structures have been damaged across Iran in U.S. and Israeli strikes, including homes, schools, and almost 36 medical facilities. Among the dead are 175 people, the majority children, mainly girls, killed when bombs struck a school in the southern city of Minab on the first day of the U.S.-Israeli attacks. On Saturday, President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth denied the U.S. was responsible for the bombing of the girls' school. They spoke to reporters aboard Air Force One.
Did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
In my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
That sounds like obfuscation and tap dancing. First, he said, in my opinion, I think it was Iran, right? Well, in Iran's opinion, they think it was you. And based on the trajectory, based on the information that was gathered, it was clearly the U.S. who bombed the Iranian school and unalived over 175 people, most of them being girls, right? And this is the party of pro-life. This is the party of conservative values. What is conservative about bombing a helpless school filled up with little girls? If a school in Israel had been bombed that was mostly girls, they would say that's justification for Israel to use a nuke. Somehow, when you bomb an Iranian school with a bunch of little girls in there, the Iranians are supposed to show restraint. They said Iran, it is the leader of state-sponsored terrorism. Huh? Show me a news story, an article, a video, any evidence of Iran bombing a school and slaughtering hundreds of little girls. Don't worry, I'll wait. but America has. So how the fuck is Iran the state sponsor of terrorism when you got the U.S. military to the orders of these stooges in the office bombing hundreds and hundreds of little girls at the behest of Bibi Netanyahu and these genocidal Zionists? How is this making America great again? This ain't MAGA. This is MIGA, making Israel not great again, making Israel genocidal again, or making Israel genocidal always, because from the river to the sea, right? The Greater Israel Project requires genocidal maniac proclivities. Let's get back into it.
We think it was done by Iran.
But a New York Times investigation found direct video evidence contradicting Trump's claims. The video shows a U.S. Tomahawk missile damage the school at the same time as a U.S. attack on an adjacent naval base operated by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Meanwhile, top officials in Iran have pledged allegiance to Mujtaba Khamenei as the country's new supreme leader after the U.S.-Israeli coalition killed his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in a February 28th airstrike. Khamenei's ascension to supreme leader came after President Trump warned if he, quote, doesn't get approval from us, he's not going to last long, unquote. Trump said last week he would choose a great and acceptable.
So hold on. Now the U.S. is saying it's up to Iran to pick their leader. We already, they killed the number 2 Iranian in his first term. Now they killed the supreme leader. The Iranian people democratically elect and select this Ayatollah to be their supreme leader. And Trump is saying, nah, if I don't like him, then yeah, bro, we'll kill you too. So what, they're going to kill all of the Iranian leaders until they're install a puppet government? And at the same time, they're telling these other people, you better not meddle in our elections. You better not try to assassinate and get any of our people. You better not even get a nuclear weapon, right? And then they'll turn around and say, we're not the world's police. Well, why are you trying to pick the Iranian leader right now? What is a more pressing issue? Things that are going on in your local community with your local economy, or what's going on in Iran? The things that they're doing are causing it to have domestic consequences. But this is a needless and a pointless war. Now, I know it's not pointless for the Greater Israel Project and for the colonial plutocratic powers who want to turn parts of the Middle East into a Riviera, and they want to weaken basically China's trading capacity, because I know in terms of oil, China imports about 70% of its oil. So if they can cause confusion and mayhem at the Strait of Hormuz, they can basically make Iran a failed state. Guess what? There will be no Middle Eastern nation powerful enough to challenge Israel, right? And they say Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Yeah, the only democracy that's presiding over a current genocide, the only democracy that's egging the U.S. on to bomb schools and kill hundreds and hundreds of children, mainly little girls, right? This is not America first at all.
Leader after Iran's unconditional surrender. In Tehran, Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, on Sunday ruled out any capitulation to the U.S. and Israel.
America and Israel, who without any hesitation kill 168 innocent children, feel no shame for killing these children. They feel no shame for massacring 50,000 to 60,000 people in Gaza. And then they want to say that we in Iran want to kill people. We stand against those who attack our country with full force and will respond with full force.
In Washington, the State Department's declared the U.S. war of choice against Iran an emergency, allowing the Trump administration to bypass congressional approval to sell more than 20,000 bombs to Israel. The weapons are valued at nearly $660 million. Meanwhile, Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has declined to say whether he'll block additional funding for the Pentagon's war against Iran, telling NBC's Meet the Press, quote, "We'll walk that bridge when we come to it."
Newsflash, the Democrats are not going to block anything. As much as they hate Trump, they love war. Warmongering is extremely profitable, especially for the military-industrial complex, especially for the inside traders. How do you think people go in with $100,000 salary and then leave out like Nancy Pelosi worth hundreds and hundreds of millions, right? Even the low-level people like AOC, right, goes in talking about, I was a bartender, and now she's worth tens of millions of dollars, right? What? Let me guess, it was just because of her striking good looks. Like, we know what it was about. The U.S. is corrupt. Both parties are the same. This is why some say the United Snakes of America. And I'm not talking about the rank and file citizens, who none of us are infallible, but overall, I think that there are beautiful people in this beautiful country. However, this beautiful country is being led by some ugly, evil, and demonic forces. And they want you to believe that bombing little children is in the best interest of America, right? You can barely afford health care. You can't afford a $400 emergency if it pops up. Many people can't afford to put their kids through college. Many people will never, ever be afforded what I grew up. The American dream was everyone owned a house and you would have a white picket fence. Now they're telling you you will own nothing and be happy. But hey, at least we bombed Iran, the state sponsor of terrorism. How the fuck does that help you?
Iran's military continues to launch missiles and one-way attack drones at Israel, as well as U.S. military bases across the Middle East and the countries that host them. Earlier today, Iranian strikes killed 2 people in Israel, seriously wounding a third. Elsewhere, Iranian strikes have destroyed radar, communications, and air defense systems in Qatar, the UAE, Jordan, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. The attacks continued even after Iran's president issued an apology for Iranian strikes on Gulf states and said Iran would not strike targets in the region. In Iraq, fires broke out in buildings belonging to U.S. corporations Halliburton and KBR after an Iranian drone attack in Basra targeted a compound housing workers of foreign oil companies. Saudi Arabia reported its first deaths from Iran's attacks, reporting a strike on a residential area that killed 2 people. Bahrain's government reports an Iranian drone attack damaged a water desalination plant and injured 3 people. Roughly 100 million people across the Gulf region rely on desalination plants for their drinking water. Elsewhere, Bahrain's state-owned Bapco Energies company has declared force majeure, declaring it can no longer honor its contracts after an Iranian attack set its only oil refinery on fire. Meanwhile, police in Norway are investigating an explosion at the U.S. Embassy in Oslo early Sunday morning as a potential act of terrorism. No suspects have been identified in what appeared to be an intentional explosion that caused minor damage and no injuries. Lebanon's health ministry reports more than 500,000 people have been displaced in the week since Israel resumed full-scale attacks on Lebanon, with forced displacement orders affecting hundreds of thousands of people. So far, Israel's assault has killed 394 people in Lebanon, including 83 children, 42 women, and 9 rescue workers. Meanwhile, Human Rights Watch warns Israel's military has once again used white phosphorus munitions in residential areas in southern Lebanon, a violation of international humanitarian law.
Where have we heard this before? Israel is using illegal weaponry and committing war crimes, but who will hold them accountable, right? They're the chosen people. Says who? Like, show me where it says they're the chosen people. They'll read you some vague scripture and try to say this is talking about them. No, it wasn't talking about a bunch of white Europeans that immigrated and did some colonial settler in illegal land grabs. Like, the Bible wasn't talking about them. Show me where the Bible was saying anything about Ben Gurion and Benjamin Netanyahu, right? This is to desensitize you in what I call bloviating biblical blather. Look, the land was promised to them. No, the land was not promised to Bibi Netanyahu. The dude is a European Polish person. None of his family was born or are indigenous to the land that they're destroying and decimating. But because the backing, might makes right, with the backing of the US and its belligerent bullies, then somehow we have to accept as if these Israelis are the lost ancient chosen people. My life is not based on a book, right? Many people, okay, fine, if you lead with your faith, but the Bible is a belief. You can't tell me that your belief in the Bible is stronger than someone's belief in the Quran or Talmud. It's a book based on your belief. It's not actual reality. You can try to convince yourself that it is actually scientific, biologically reality, but there's nothing real about the book. The only thing real is your faith and your belief in the book. That's the only thing. Everything else could be construed as a fairy tale or a fable.
Has killed 394 people in Lebanon, including 83 children, 42 women, and 9 rescue workers. Meanwhile, Human Rights Watch warns Israel's military has once again used white phosphorus munitions in residential areas in southern Lebanon, a violation of international humanitarian law. In the occupied West Bank, Palestinians held a funeral Sunday for 3 Palestinians killed after Israeli settlers attacked them near the village of Kirbat Abu Falah. 2 Palestinians were shot dead by settlers during the overnight attack early Sunday. Then a 3rd Palestinian suffocated to death as Israeli soldiers fired tear gas at crowds that gathered to confront the attackers. The killings bring the death toll from settler attacks on Palestinians in the West Bank to 6 in just the past week. Israel's continuing to attack the Gaza Strip in violation of the U.S. brokered ceasefire agreement it agreed to in October. On Sunday, Israeli tank shells hit a tent encampment housing displaced families in the western Nuseirat area.
Now look how diabolical and disgusting many of the people in the Isreal are. Now look at this. There's this dude, and they're going to say, he's Hamas, he's a soldier. They have these tents, right? Tents that are being made with pallets, being made with bamboo sticks, being made with plastic, whatever they can find. They're making tents so that they can have shelter. They have all of these refugee camps scattered all around Gaza and the West Bank. And guess what? Israel is still bombing them, saying it's Hamas, right? They'll say, oh my God, October 7th, it was the worst day ever. October 7th, there was allegedly 1,200 Israelis unalived, which is unfortunate. It's a sad terroristic act, right? But it's in response to the decades of terrorism that the Israeli government has been inflicted on the Palestinian and the inhabitants of the West Bank, right? So they say an eye for an eye, right? So Hamas was allegedly responsible for 1,200 fatalities, right? So an eye for an eye would be, hey, y'all took out 1,200, we take out 1,200. Here, even give them an extra. Y'all take out 1,200, we took out 1,500, right? It's reported that Israel has already slaughtered hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza. How the fuck is that an eye for an eye? Tell me the verse in scripture that says this, right? And then these are the same people that say, what about Chicago? What about black on black crime? No, what about Middle Eastern on Middle Eastern crime? What about Arab on Arab crime? What about African on African crime? I mean, they are in North Africa. I know people try to make it seem, no, they're different from sub-Saharans. Well, what's the operative word? Sub-Saharan, African, right? North African. Somehow that word African keeps coming up, right? So this is African on African crime, Arab on Arab crime, Jewish on Muslim crime. That's how it should be framed. This doesn't need to be happening. But why? It's because Israel is being run by a genocidal gang who is not only disgusting, but insidious and sinister.
Killing at least 3 people, including 2 girls, while wounding 10 others, including children. Another strike in western Gaza City killed 3 men, including 31-year-old paramedic Abdurrahman Hosni Hamdouna. This follows an Israeli drone attack on Saturday that killed a father and his daughter in central Khan Yunis. Gaza's health ministry reports about 640 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire since the ceasefire was supposed to have taken effect 150 days ago.
So since the ceasefire was supposed to take effect, they've already killed 640 Palestinians, and a few Israelis have been killed. And I'm not trying to diminish the loss of life. Any loss of life is a unfortunate tragedy, right? But the math ain't mathing. Less than a dozen Israelis have been killed since the ceasefire. 640 plus Palestinians have been killed since the ceasefire. Who's holding these people accountable, right? They're always worried about some poor thug in the hood. Who's holding him accountable? He's been held accountable by the police, which is why he got arrested and which is why he got more time than any of his non-black counterparts. He was held accountable. He was drugged through the mud. His reputation was denigrated and ridiculed. And not only that, y'all tried to make the whole black community answer for it, right? If some musty, crusty, dusty nigga from Oakland does a drive-by, that's the black community's problem. I don't know that nigga that did a drive-by. How the fuck am I going to answer for some dude that I didn't even know? That's your culture. No, it's not. You know what I mean? I have a culture of sophistication and brilliance and standing on business, right? But now, because one individual does something, I have to answer for it. Fine, you know what? I will answer for that nigga that did the drive-by. What Israelis are going to answer for them killing hundreds of thousands of people? Whose culture is this? Who raised the people that were dropping white phosphorus, right? Because y'all locked the nigga up for selling weed. He was selling weed to someone who wanted to buy weed. He didn't put a gun to his head and say, buy this weed or I'm gonna shoot you, right? He sold weed to somebody that wanted to buy weed. I get it. You do the crime, you do the time. Now you lock this nigga up for selling a half-eighth of weed. But meanwhile, who runs the industry? A bunch of non-black people selling metric tons of weed. Lock that nigga up for selling an eighth of weed and let the other people run amok selling tons of weed. It's the same thing that they're doing with the Israelis. Hamas is so bad. Look what they did. And then Israel is slaughtering people to the tunes of hundreds of thousands. I mean, this is quite disgusting.
Oh. The Pentagon reports another member of the U.S. military has died in combat, the 7th since President Trump and Israel launched a full-scale military assault on Iran late last month. The Associated Press reports the service member was an Army soldier who died of injuries sustained during an Iranian attack on U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia on March 1st. CENTCOM also reports an 8th service member has died in Kuwait due to what officials called a health-related incident. On Saturday, President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth attended a dignified transfer ceremony at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware for 6 Army members killed by Iranian attacks on Kuwait.
RIP to those people. Thank them for their service. Unfortunately, this is going to happen. See, Elon Musk Trump, JD Vance, all of these warmongers notice that they're not going to send their kids. Does anyone think that Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is, we need more white babies. Do you think Elon Musk is going to send his white babies to go die in a pointless war? Do you think Barron Trump, Donald Trump Jr., do you think any of them are going to go? Or do you think that they're going to go to the trailer park with the hillbillies? You think they're going to go to the hood with the niggas, where the niggas at, and try to recruit them to go fight these wars in the Middle East? And when your kids go over there dying for Israel, what do you get from that? Oh, look, your kid died in Israel and he got a Purple Heart. Yeah, but your kid's not here. So, like I said, I won't be here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. So let me bring up another video so I can give you the perspective of the Chinese people, right? Because we know when it comes to the US, it's a propaganda mill. Many of these people are bought and paid for by the Zionist establishment. So sometimes you do have to seek global geo news more so than the domestic news, because there's always a spin on it. So this video is from CGTN America, and it's titled, China Calls for an Immediate Stop to Military Action Against Iran. Let's get into it.
Let's bring in Victor Gao. He's the chair professor at Suzhou University and joins us from Beijing. Victor, welcome to the program. Can China play a constructive role in diffusing this crisis?
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, indeed, China is playing a very important and constructive role right now when war has already broken out. And this war was not started by Iran. It is started by Israel, coupled with the United States. So the United States and Israel are engaged in this war of aggression against Iran, violating Iran's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And the Chinese government emphasized that Iran's sovereignty and territorial integrity should be fully respected. China is calling for de-escalation and ceasefire immediately, because otherwise you do not know how much evil this whole situation may degenerate in, because this may degenerate into a regional war or even with more global implications, because first of all, energy security will be undermined, and it may also lead to a big financial crisis. So the world itself will suffer the consequences of this unwanted war launched by the United States and Israel against a sovereign country. And Iran is now exercising full right of self-defense against the aggressors.
So Victor, what about when it comes to international law and UN Charter? Do these military actions by US and Israel violate those?
Absolutely. I think in this particular case, Israel committed act of aggression against Iran, and the United States aided and abetted Israel and
I don't know who this dude is, but at least he's telling the truth. And it's funny because they'll say, we're a nation of laws. And then when it comes to international laws, they break them at will. And the UN is just a lapdog for the US. So the UN is supposed to be the governing body to rein the authoritative regimes in, right? Who's reining in Israel? They said it's a plausible genocide. What the fuck does that mean? Is it a genocide or not? They use these qualifiers to say it's a plausible genocide, which means it is a genocide. So just call it that. And why did South Africa have to bring this in front of the UN? Where the fuck are these feckless Arab nations? Where's Jordan? Where's Egypt? All of these people are bending the knee, licking the boot, spreading the cheeks, and licking the crack of Israel. And when they turn around, when Israel is done with Iran, who do you think they're going to turn to? Right? All of these other Middle Eastern nations will already be destabilized. Lebanon, Libya, all at the behest of Israel, done with U.S. taxpayer dollars and U.S. troops. Remind me how this helps you again. Remind me how this is a kitchen table issue again. We're a nation of laws, except when it comes to international, then you just break all of the laws, right? Hypocrisy.
Joined in this act of aggression against Iran. By international law, there should be no doubt that Iran is under attack and is suffering the consequences of this aggression. And I think Iran has full justification to fight.
So David says the UN only exists because of the United States. They better be our lapdogs. Well, if that's the case, then let's just stop pretending, right? Because they want to act as if this is an impartial, objective governing body. But like you admit, they are the lapdogs of the US. So let's just stop pretending, because they'll say, no, this is an impartial arbiter. No, it's not. It's the lapdog of the US, right? And it just is what it is. But to pretend that it's not, that's where the issue comes in. All people are saying is just keep it real, bruh. Nobody is really going to stand up to the UN, but to kind of lie in front of the American people's face isn't insulting to insulting their intelligence. Because if you'll lie as something as obvious as that, what else will you and are you lying about?
Back. Now, several countries, including Prime Minister of Britain, said Iran has been attacking several other countries. It's because these countries host US military bases. And from these military bases, acts of aggression has been committed by the US troops and military facilities based in these countries. And I think by international law, Iran has full justification to strike back. But of crucial importance is what China is calling for: de-escalation and ceasefire, and go back to the negotiation table. It is truly a double standard for the United States to engage in negotiation all the time until the moment they struck at Iran. So I think this has destroyed and undermined the trust the United States need to possess as a major power.
Yeah, you make a good point, because the last time Israel and United States hit Iran, they were also in the middle of negotiations back in June, with the Omanis playing the role of the mediators. And Oman's foreign minister gave a number of interviews, and he said he was optimistic that the two sides could work something out and avert a military crisis. Let me move on to the United Nations Security Council. What can we expect from the UNSC? What should we expect? And can they at this point really do anything? Victor, you know, there's a lot of people that say the UN has become rather irrelevant. They say a lot of things, but nothing really ever happens.
Well, I think the United Nations Security Council need to come into an immediate emergency session right away to deliberate about this.
Yes, the UN has become irrelevant in terms of a governing body because they have no authority to enforce anything, right? And maybe they're not enforcing it because they are the US lapdog, so the US tells them what not to enforce. But yeah, like, no one is taking the UN seriously because Israel is committing all sorts of war crimes, violating the Geneva Convention. Where's the UN or anyone else to rein them in, right? So like, this dude is saying that the US has double standards. What he's really saying is that the US is hypocritical. We'll say that no other nation in the Middle East should be able to have nukes because Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. How is Israel the only democracy in the Middle East when they're lying? First of all, they won't even give you a clear answer about what nukes they have, how many nukes. They try to keep it under wraps. No, we don't have nukes, but just be very afraid of us, right? Then they say that they're the only democracy. How is the only democracy the only one committing genocide? Since when did genocide equal democracy? Since when did genocide mean that you're being democratic? Now, if someone kills even 1% of the amount of people that Israel kills, they're anti-Semitic. we're under attack. Yeah, you're under attack because you were attacking people first and people retaliate. And now it's saying, here, big bad, you're the big bad bully US. Come save us. No, you're Israel, right? It's supposed to be superior with its firepower, superior with its intelligence apparatus. Why do you need the US to come and hold your hand and save you over and over and over again? Israel likes to get into these fights. It's like a pipsqueak that gets into a fight and I'm going to call my brother. Won't you fight your own battles, right? Israel believes that it's superior to Egypt, superior to Iran, superior to Iraq. So fight your own fucking battles. Why should our American citizens go over and die for Israel Israel, because they're the chosen people? Says who?
Particular war of aggression against Iran. However, I don't think it is realistic to expect anything substantive coming out of the Security Council because the United Nations will definitely exercise its veto power. We tend to blame the United Nations for the deadlock, for the inefficiency. However, allow me to emphasize, the United Nations, especially the Security Council, have at least performed well in preventing the outbreak of a third world war. To that extent, I think, despite of all its imperfections, the United Nations, including the Security Council, have done its job. And I hope what Israel and the United States are doing right now, committing acts of aggression against Iran, will not lead to regional conflict or even global warfare, which may eventually lead to the Third World War.
What damage was likely done to Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure back in June, Victor? You probably remember the Trump administration repeatedly told us Iran's nuclear program was obliterated. So my question to you is whether this time around, is it still about Iran's nuclear and military capabilities, or is it about something else?
Well, first of all, as far as the Middle East is concerned, it is completely unacceptable for one country, that is Israel, to have developed the nuclear weapons and sometimes to declare their intention to use nuclear weapons, and at the same time to deny another country, which is Iran, a sovereign country with its own independence, from developing nuclear weapons. Now, Iran has repeatedly reaffirmed that it has no intention to develop nuclear weapons, but it has the right to use nuclear power for peaceful purposes. So I think this whole issue needs to be brought to a negotiation table, and there was an international agreement covering the peaceful use of nuclear power.
So yeah, this is the hypocrisy of Israel saying you guys can't have nukes, and just because you have nuclear energy doesn't mean that you're going to create a nuclear weapon. So if you look at clean energy, nuclear energy is used for clean energy. They use them for medical advancements, providing essential tools for like cancer detection and therapy. They use nuclear energy to use that. Space exploration, right? They use like radio isotope power systems. These are used for spaceships in extreme environments. They help enable missions to study planets, i.e. Jupiter, Saturn. It's also used for environmental protection. Nuclear technology is used to monitor, mitigate environmental problems such as pollution detection and climate change studies. It's also used for agricultural innovation. So the nuclear power's versatility and reliability makes it a key, a core element to transition into sustainable energy in the future, right? And this is for people that want to say, hey, we don't only want to use oil as our source of energy. So when people say that they want to use nuclear energy or nuclear power, it doesn't mean that they want to create a nuke to bomb a rival nation. You know who thinks like that? People who project genocidal, diabolical, sinister, insidious regimes who want to project what they want to do. You know what I mean? So yeah, They're saying, no, you guys can't have any nukes and all this other stuff. But meanwhile, they'll have nukes and lie about it as well. And Iran, who is a sovereign nation, agreed to it and said, look, man, we really don't want the smoke because we know if Iran shoots the fade with Israel head to head, Iran is going to win. But if you start getting involved with the U.S. military, it's like, bro, why y'all jumping me? Shoot the fair one. Israel isn't about shooting the fair one because it's led by a diabolical, sinister regime. You know what I mean? So I'm going to play a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to play a quick video, and I'm going to get ready to shut her down.
By Iran, but the United States chose to walk out of that agreement, which eventually led to the war and confrontation, the peaceful use of nuclear power by Iran. But the United States chose to walk out of that agreement, which eventually led to the war and confrontation configuration we are faced with as we speak. So I think it is time for the United States to really do what a major power is supposed to do.
And shout out to Roger Meadows. Roger Meadows says BRICS nations, which are Ethiopia, Egypt, Emiratis, Brazil, Russia, India, Iran, Indonesia, China, South Africa, all forming a cooperative economy. We have no chance. So these people, and they don't all like each other, but they're coming together and said, hey, you've been oppressed by the U.S. You've been oppressed by the U.S. You've been oppressed by the U.S. They're uniting based on their annoyance with the U.S., right? And the U.S. doesn't have a lot of natural resources and minerals and things, which is why they need to subjugate, disenfranchise these other areas, make sure that they're a failed state so they can easily extract the resources. So they'll destroy the town and say, look, the only way that we'll be able to build this nation back to prominence is if you allow multinational American corporations to come over here and build it up. You know what I mean? I.e. BlackRock, J Street, they're going to send all those people over there. And of course, they're going to send some mercenaries as well, right? In order to create the Riviera in the Middle East, you need some muscle, but you also need some brain power as well. So they're going to use the U.S. multinational investments, and then they're going to use mercenaries like Eric, what was the dude's name? Eric Prince. They'll use people like that to go over there and clean up the area, and it will be done by force. Might makes right. Gunboat diplomacy. Thorium reactors offer a safer, more sustainable alternative to traditional uranium reactors by utilizing a more abundant fuel, creating a significantly less long-lived waste, hundreds of years, versus thousands in operating with a lower meltdown risk. Thorium requires a starter field to create uranium-233, making it harder to use for weapons proliferation. Yes, nuclear energy is more efficient than other forms of energy. It's just as soon as they hear nuclear, they automatically think, oh, you're trying to create a weapon. It's like, nah, bruh, I'm not a savage genocidal maniac like you. You know what I mean? But think of it like this. This same nuclear energy can be used to enrich and empower a country, or it can be used to destroy a country. It's just all a matter of how the energy is used. If you have a firearm, you can use that firearm to senselessly go and delete someone for no reason, or you can use that same firearm to protect your family from an unhinged maniac that wants to violate your family. It's the same firearm, but used in a different context, in a different circumstance. So it's not really about the nuclear energy or power. It's about how the power is being used. Iran said, look, man, we have no intentions of using this nuclear energy to destroy anyone. We want to enfranchise and enrich our nation. And they're in Israel, and the U.S. is, no, we don't trust you. You're the leader of state-sponsored terrorism. But did Iran just bomb a school full of little girls that they killed? No, that would be the U.S. in Israel.
To exercise its leadership and statesmanship, to engage in peaceful negotiation rather than resorting to war, especially refuse to United States should refuse to be misguided by Israel and its prime minister, and refuse to be used as an instrument by Israel and Prime Minister Netanyahu in using the U.S. military power to commit acts of aggression against Iran. I don't think the American people want to fight a war.
So this person says he can't believe Iran, but you could believe Israel. You could believe Trump. Trump has a history of telling lie after lie after lie. But you can't believe Iran. You can't believe any of these people. These people are jockeying for power. Politics is war. War is politics with bloodshed. Politics is war without bloodshed. You can't trust Trump, J.D. Vance, Biden, Obama, Pelosi, go down the list. So you said, you can't believe Iran, but you believe Bibi Netanyahu? Okay.
Against the Iranian people. And I hope things will go back to normal and de-escalation will happen. And the United States will really think twice before they pull the trigger, including when they are
So looks like we got a bumbling, stumbling, raging idiot. But don't worry, Mr. Juan, I'm gonna get you up out of here faster than ICE is getting some of these illegals out of here. He says, you're a tool of the left, man. You're a tool of the left, man. You don't really want to know shit. Just another dumbass lefty. I'm not a lefty, dude. I'm not a lefty or a righty, right? And clearly, you don't even know what you're talking about. If you're going to try to challenge me, which you're not formidable enough to challenge me intellectually, at least come with some scholarship rather than this stupid, sassy little moist comment, right? And fix your profile picture because you look like a complete stooge. But yeah, if I'm a tool of the left, what does that make you? You're a buck-broken bozo who bends over for Trump, right? How does Trump's boots taste? Mr. Juan Moore, a pathetic showing. Is this the best the high IQs have to offer?
Led by another country, in this case, Israel, and especially its Prime Minister Netanyahu, in taking advantage of the U.S. military power to invade and committing acts of aggression against Iran.
Victor, my final question to you is the relationship between China and the United States is often described as the most important bilateral relationship in the world. Is this crisis going to affect that relationship?
Well, China-U.S. relations are the most consequential and impactful bilateral relations in the world of today. I think, and I believe, China has the ability to compartmentalize many different issues. So we condemn such acts of aggression. We condemn the violation of sovereignty and territorial integrity of Iran by Israel and the United States. On the other hand, I think there are channels between China and the United States to keep talking with each other and make sure that there are no issues between China and the United States which may flare up into uncertainty and uncontrollability, for example. And China and the United States will need to deal with each other on equal terms. And I hope China and the United States will eventually agree that war should be the last resort rather than the first resort. And negotiations should not be used as a disguise for launching a war against a sovereign country. I think from the Chinese philosophy, war should always be the last resort. And
I agree with him. Like he said, war should always be the last resort. So I'm going to play a little bit more of this other video, and then I do have a hard stop. So I'm going to get ready to shut her down. I know many people are like, I don't give a flying fig about this war, but it will start to affect you domestically, especially at the pump. You know what I mean? This is CNN. Some call it the, Caucasian News Network or the Clown News Network. But yeah, so this one is titled Iran War, now the biggest oil disruption in history. So when y'all look at the pump, the numbers were already stagnant and sometimes going up in certain areas. But yeah, the prices are definitely not going to come down with this war raging out of control.
Texas crude now hovering around $100 a barrel. You can see this chart over time. The last time it was this high was when Russia invaded Ukraine, and that height was at June of 2000.
Yeah, I concur, Smurf. People don't care. They're like, who cares if Israel and the U.S. killed and slaughtered a bunch of little girls? Who cares about that? But then when it starts affecting their pockets, then they're saying, how did this happen? It happened right in front of you, but you were kind of cheering it on, right? And both parties support this. The Democrats don't like how it's being done because Trump is going out there with his bloviating bluster and, saber rattling. The Democrats don't like that, but they do like what he's done because all of them repeat the same stuff. Iran is the leader of state-sponsored terrorism, right? Try to say that 3 times fast. State-sponsored terrorism. It's like a tongue twister, but they just keep saying it over and over and over, and both parties are saying that. Why? Because they're beholden to their donors. That's why. They're not working for the American people. And shout out to Big Rick Slaps. Appreciate you, bruh. But like I said, I won't be here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. Let's commence.
22, but I want you to look at the very end of this chart, an almost vertical increase over the last 2 weeks, an incredibly quick rise over a very short period of time.
Yeah, I'm in California, the belly of the beast, so I don't know how much gas is where y'all at. Let me know how much gas is hidden for where y'all at. Out here, if you get a deal, $4.20 is a deal. That's a deal for gas because most of those places it's $5 and up.
It could get even higher, experts say, by the end of March, maybe even $150 a barrel if travel through the Strait of Hormuz does not start flowing again. That flow of oil through that critical waterway has effectively ground to a halt. It's only a 20-mile stretch of sea between Iran and Oman, and actually only a 2-mile wide sea lane. The president shrugged off the rise in oil prices, calling it a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace. CNN's Matt Egan is with us now. In these prices we've seen overnight, the sharp increase, more than 10% in one day, Matt. That's pretty staggering.
Yeah, it is absolutely staggering. Look, oil prices are going through the roof. And, oil is a notoriously boom to bust market. But even by those standards, this is just a historic spike. Look at this. Oil prices 9 months ago, all the way on the left side of your screen. That was the last time there were tensions with Iran and a conflict. And that looks like just a tiny increase compared to what's going on now. Before the war started, U.S. oil prices were trading at about $67 a barrel. At one point overnight, they got to $119 a barrel. Now, let's look at a live look at oil prices. You can see they have pulled back from that peak just over $100 now. However, 11% increase, a $10 increase of dollar amounts. At one point this morning, U.S. oil prices were on track for their biggest one-day dollar increase in history. Now, as you mentioned, the problem is the fact that this war has disrupted the supply of oil out of the Middle East. And it's not just that the Strait of Hormuz effective closure is delaying the shipment of oil out of the region. It's the fact that oil producers there, they have nowhere to.
Hold on, I have to pause this. Where in the flip are y'all getting gas for $2.98? Gas could have been $2. Stop making excuses. Who was making excuses? Elaborate. But yeah, where are y'all getting gas for $2.98? I ain't seen gas in $2.98 in Cali since probably 1998. But yeah, I'm about to get ready to shut it down. So I'm going to play a little bit more, and then I do have a hard stop. I appreciate y'all.
Put the oil. They're literally running out of room to store it all. So they have to slash production. And you look at gas prices, $2.98 before the war started, $3.48 a gallon right now. That's the highest level since August of 2024. Quite the move in just the span of a little over a week. And, this is another look at gas prices as well. Zooming out, you can see how it's just going significantly higher. Now, it's not just gas, though, John. Jet fuel, right? Jet fuel prices have skyrocketed. United Airlines CEO warning that could raise the cost of airfare. And diesel as well. Diesel prices, they're actually up by even more than gasoline on a percentage basis. 24% increase. This is a 3-year high. And look.
So yes, I mean, it will start to affect people. And I know that Timothy says gas prices don't affect me. I'm not driving a car. I take the bus service. It's more convenient. I will encourage more people to start taking the bus. Not only that, get you a bicycle, and you know, you can get you an electric bicycle as well. Even if you have a car, if you don't have too far to go, I would recommend that you find alternative ways of traveling, and then that way it will save you on gas and you only drive when it's absolute necessary. But some people, they can't live without their car, and some people don't live in a area that has good public transportation routes. So just because it's not affecting Timothy, it is affecting other people like Big O. Big O is a truck driver, which means that he has to fill up regularly, which is going to kind of, you know, hit you where it hurts in the pockets with the pump. The Iran war prices raised prices dramatically. We could have had $2. We could have had $2 right now. Oil is going to be up 100%. I concur. Oil increases the price for everything. Food will get more expensive. That's why I was saying it's a domino effect, while others are saying, I don't care what happened over there. Yeah, you don't care until it hits you home. And then you start wondering like, damn, why is everything so expensive? Things were already being more expensive. Now it's just going to get exponentially more expensive. And Roger says, later for the pumps, according to Professor Jiang, this war will take down our economy. AI is propping up our economy, which is connected to investment in oil. Now that Iran has been attacking oil refineries in Saudi, blocking the Strait of Hormuz, and the U.S. has not came to their rescue. Saudis are finding out they are the side chick, and U.S. isn't leaving their wife Isreal. No, the Saudis are getting their sand nigga wake up call. Yeah, that's what they call y'all, sand niggas. Hey, we're not like the niggas. No, you're not like the niggas. Y'all sand niggas, and that's why they treating y'all like that, unfortunately. And Sextonius says that's that's a hell of a name, Sextonius. Bro, you need to get out of Cali. Gas has been $2.70 in South Carolina for a minute. Damn, maybe I do need to get to SC, but how much is minimum wage in SC? Because I know minimum wage is what, like $8, $9 there. How much is minimum wage there? Gas is $3.59 here in Ohio. Yeah, man, damn. I'm out in Cali and the cheap gas is like $4.20. Other places is like $5. New York, Long Island went up $2.98 a month ago. It was $2.59. Yeah, y'all right. Maybe it's time to get out of Cali. You know what I mean? Yes, it's affected many people. Luckily, it doesn't affect me. Yeah, well, Timothy, you are lucky, right? And shout out to Sextonius and MC says food prices increase, take time to match the price of oil. It's going to go up dramatically within the next month or two. I would concur. And I appreciate all y'all for being here. I do have a hard stop, so I'm going to hit y'all with a visual and then I'm out of here.
If you feel the vibe, like, share, and subscribe. We growing on this journey. Come and take a ride. If you wanna slide with that dude, be easy. We going all the way to the top, believe me. All the way to the top, believe me.
Be easy, be easy. He is that dude. It's plain and obvious. A certified professional, ain't never been a hobbyist. He is one of the nicest, realest, coldest, and dopest. So you should take notice. Woo! That dude, be easy. That dude, be easy. That dude, show love and support to B-Eazy Dat Dude.
Be easy.